I mailed my mother-in-law's anonymous letter back to her with her name on it. I mailed my mother-in-law's anonymous letter back to her with her name on it. So about 3 weeks ago, I get this letter in the mail. No return address, just my name and address printed out on a label like a bill or something. I opened it standing in the driveway because I thought it was from the school. It was a full page. Typed. It said things like your children deserve a mother who prioritizes them, and everyone in this family has noticed the state of your home. And some of us wonder if David knows what he married into. That last line is the one I read like 4 times. It ended with, this comes from someone who cares about your family. No name, nothing. I showed my husband David that night. He read it in the kitchen and just went, okay, that's messed up. Probably some neighbor thing. And I said, nobody at the school knows your name. He said, it's not worth spiraling over. So I didn't spiral. I just kept it. Here's the thing though. I've been getting these little comments for 2 years. My mother-in-law Denise will come over and say, oh, I would have straightened up if I knew people were coming, when nobody's coming. She'll say, you look tired, honey. Do you sleep? She asked me once at Thanksgiving if I'd thought about what kind of home the kids will remember. And the letter said the state of your home. Which, like, only one person in my life talks that way. But I wasn't sure, and I wasn't going to accuse anyone off a hunch. Then 2 weeks ago, we're at her house for my daughter's birthday. She's printing something off her little printer in the den for the party games. And I'm standing there and she hands me the page and says, sorry, it prints crooked on the left side. It's been doing that. The letter prints crooked on the left side. Every line shifted maybe a 1/4 inch. I didn't say anything. I put the birthday game sheet in my purse, and I went home and I put it next to the letter on the table and they matched. Same weird margin, same faded spot in the same corner of the page. So I made a decision. I got a fresh envelope. I put the original letter inside, folded exactly how it came. And on the front, I wrote her full name, her whole address, and then under it, I wrote, return to sender, from someone who cares about your family. Then I put my name and our address in the return corner. Big, not hiding. I mailed it Tuesday. It got there Thursday. She called at 7 p.m. and I let it ring. She called again at 7:20. I picked up that one. She goes, I got something in the mail today. I said, yeah, I sent it back. It got delivered to the wrong house. She goes quiet for a second. Then she says, I don't know what you think you're doing. I said, I'm returning your property. It's yours, right? She says, why would you assume that? And I said, because your printer is crooked, Denise. Nothing. Just her breathing. Then she goes, that's a very serious thing to accuse someone of. I said, it is. That's why I didn't accuse you. I just mailed it back and you're the one who called me about it. She hung up. 20 minutes later, David's phone starts going off. She's telling him I'm unstable. She's telling him I sent her threatening mail. She's telling him she's never been so humiliated that anyone could have seen that envelope. The mailman, her neighbor, whoever. And David's standing in our kitchen going, Mom, slow down, slow down. Then he goes, wait, what letter? She wouldn't answer him. He asked her 3 times. She kept saying she knows what she did. So he hung up and looked at me and said, you actually mailed it back to her. I said, yeah. He said, you could have just told me you were sure. I said, I did tell you. 3 weeks ago in this kitchen. You said it wasn't worth spiraling over. He didn't have anything for that. Then he says, she's saying you humiliated her in front of her mailman. And I said, she wrote a whole page about me and mailed it to my house where my kids get the mail. She's not upset that I was cruel. She's upset that I signed my name and she didn't. He said, so what do you want me to do? I said, ask her one question. Ask her if she wrote it, not whether I was out of line. Just did she write it? He called her back Saturday morning, put it on speaker in the living room, which I did not ask him to do. He said, did you write the letter? And she said, I'm not doing this. He said, that's not a no. And she said, you have no idea what it's like watching your son's life get smaller. Nobody said anything for a second. Then David said, so that's a yes, and she started crying and saying we were ganging up on her. I leaned toward the phone and said, Denise, if you ever have something to say about how I keep my house, put your name on it. I put mine on yours. He hasn't spoken to her since Saturday.